Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Charles Cook here from the founding partner of Cook Baxter. Great to be with you. I am so sorry I'm late. Normally I start this on the dot at 1 o'clock every Wednesday, but we had a little thing here at the farm. Many of you know I own a farm up in Tennessee. It's actually where I live, and I work in Atlanta. I know it sounds crazy, but it works. We are putting a greenhouse in that was to be delivered this morning. And it was delivered at 12:45, and it took about the last half hour to get it off the truck. It was big. It was really big. So we'll work on putting that together in the next month or two. So we're ready for the springtime here and the spring planting here at the farm. First thing I want to talk about is immigration litigation against Trump. Where are we? As many of you know, I am part of IMPACT, IMM-PACT immigration litigation. We have filed last Friday night our initial litigation against the USCIS on the 39 country ban. I think either Friday night or Saturday morning, whenever we can, we're filing the next phase of that litigation against the Department of State. So let me just briefly tell you what's going on with those. So as you know, Trump issued a couple different proclamations basically banning entry, which he's allowed to do under the act. I mean, although these are probably too broad, and I think it's open for litigation, but it's a third step litigation. But that does not mean that USCIS is allowed to suspend work on people from those countries. In fact, they are not. They're not. There's case law on this, at least as places by the Department of State. So we filed on behalf of 276 plaintiffs. We are filing an amendment to that complaint along with a preliminary injunction at the end of the month, so that we can now litigate that issue rapidly instead of waiting for a normal course of events. But we, as of today, many of you know this crazy news that we just saw. I wonder if I can share this here. It'd be great if I could share this screen. Hold on a second. I think I'm able to share this here. Yeah, let's see if I can share a screen here of, let's see. I want to this. Many of you saw this today. This is Fox News saying, I don't know why. Oh, go back over here to scroll. I have to scroll that screen down. I can't scroll within the screen. Here we go. U.S. freezes visa processing for 75 countries, including Russia, Iran, Brazil, Nigeria, Thailand, starting with an indefinite pause starting on the 21st. So that's visa process. What we don't know yet is whether USCIS is going to do the same thing. So we may be adding all of these countries to our list of the 39 countries to this list. But this is the crazy stuff that's going on in the Trump administration. And we, of course, need to be on top of this. So this litigation starts that. Now, we have colleagues. Jim Hacking has filed up in Boston for a group of 80 or so folks. I know my friend Curtis Morrison has filed both in California on behalf of 765s. And I think he just filed on behalf of 85 people with 485s in Maryland. I'm not a big fan of Maryland because of our previous experience there. We filed our lawsuit in Georgia. We've got a terrific judge. We think it's a great judge. He's a fair man. I mean, I've had other immigration cases in front of him that I've won. The others have won. In fact, he wrote a really scathing decision a couple of years ago against the Immigration Service. So, you know, the reality is he gets it. He was a former U.S. attorney, and he litigated tax cases for the government before he became a judge. But I think he's a really good judge, and I'm excited to have him. So we've got that case filed, and we're going to be amending that with additional plaintiffs. So go to the Impact litigation page. I wonder if I've got the Impact litigation page here. I do. In fact, here it is. If you go to this litigation, well, that's the UT litigation page. Let me find the Impact litigation onboarding for the 39 folks and put that in here as a banner. We're going to create that banner right here. This is going to take the timer off. We're going to put this in here. And we're going to add that banner. And so here's the onboarding. It may be the 75 countries. We don't know yet as far as USCIS. Now, on Friday, we are filing on behalf of some of our original plaintiffs who were stuck outside the United States. So the reason we're suing first for USCIS, because it's blatantly illegal what they're doing. But some of our plaintiffs were outside the United States. So they've been getting denied visas by the consulate saying, oh, you're subject to the ban. We deny a visa. That's not a basis to deny a visa. I have won my impact. We have won this exact lawsuit in 2019, 2020, 2021. There's great case law on this. Now, we're going to file that suit probably in Washington, D.C., where we have great case law against the Department of State. So if you want to be part of that case, sign up now. If your spouse is stuck out of the country, you're from one of these 39 countries, join that suit because they can't not issue the visas. Now, the bigger question comes, if they get a visa, can they come in? That's the final step. And we hopefully engage some really super big guns on that litigation, like state level AG kind of folks, because the Trump versus Hawaii decision is subject to attack. I mean, the reality is the decision did not give the president carte blanche in basically barring admission to the United States. He didn't do that. So these litigations are ongoing. And you also notice that we're also doing litigation for those that have U and T visas. This is in Spanish, by the way, but it's English and Spanish. So if you've got a U or T deferred action, ICE is picking you up and holding you. We think that's illegal. We think we can get a nationwide injunction on that to bar them from doing that, but we need more plaintiffs to do that. We don't have plaintiffs yet to go forward on that case. Now, the next thing I want to talk about today is let's talk about DACA a little bit. Let's see if I can go here. Maybe edit this a little bit. We'll use this. This is good. We'll just go this one. This is good. Let's save that. This is good. So we have no news from Judge Hannon. As of this morning, I didn't have any news. If I'm wrong, please note that, Chuck, you're wrong. But a couple of issues on advanced parole. They're still granting advanced paroles. Client of mine yesterday went in on an emergency advanced parole for a work trip, and they gave it to her. I didn't think they would, honestly, but I think she did a great job presenting it, and they gave her the 30-day emergency work travel for her job, and she had to go to China. I mean, she's not from China, but she had to go to China for a meeting with her employer, and they gave it to her. So advanced paroles for DACA are still very much active. They're just slow. We've got a couple last week again from 11 months ago. We got those. We filed in late January. So I guess it's 2 weeks ago. Maybe it's closing the 12 months, but they're 100% doing them. They probably just have one person doing them in the back room. But we also see on Dreamers Together Facebook page that they are absolutely doing this. They're absolutely doing this. So do it. I mean, if you got DACA, I called Con yesterday with a young man, had DACA since 2012, married a U.S. citizen, never did advanced parole. I mean, come on, people, do the advanced parole. You don't know when you're going to get married. You don't know when your kid's going to turn 21. Get the advanced parole, get the legal entry. And to be clear, the advanced parole does not help you to adjust status to an employer because there's separate rules for adjustment through employment. You can't use it through employment. You will have to consular process, which means if you want a green card, as a DACA recipient, you're going to have to consular process abroad, which means that you cannot have gotten DACA after you were 18 and a half, because you would have a bar when you leave. Even if you left with advanced parole, they're going to say you have a bar. So what this means is you still do it if you have a mom or dad who's a resident citizen, then they can sponsor a waiver for you. But generally speaking, most people don't have that. So you're not going to get a green card, EB3, EB2, EB1, with DACA if you got DACA after you're 18 and a half. But we're doing one right now for a guy as an EB1 extraordinary ability researcher. He'll be approved shortly, and then we'll send him back to his home country to get his green card, and he'll be fine. He'll be 100% fine. So we talked about DACA. We talked about this craziness of the 39 country ban. I want to update you on the litigation on the H-1B $100,000 fee. So many of you know there's 3 suits filed. We filed the first suit with Impact and other colleagues, Democracy Forward, Justice Action Center, really an amazing team of lawyers. And we filed in California in October. But we didn't file a preliminary injunction right away because we didn't have enough information. Immigration didn't even issue more guidance until after we filed. And we didn't see the impact of it. We were hoping to see some exemptions granted, which they've not been. The second lawsuit filed several weeks after us by the Chamber of Commerce, but they filed an immediate preliminary injunction and they lost. They lost mostly because they didn't have any harm. They couldn't point to any harm. The judge was kind of brutal on them, and I'll give him that. They're kind of brutal on him, but the judge lost. So they've appealed that to the DC Circuit, and they got an expedited appeal. So it looks like they're going to have oral argument on February 14th, 19th, something like that. We're having oral argument on our case in February as well. Now, the thing with the Chamber case is that it only pertains to Chamber of Commerce members. And many employers that use H-1Bs are not Chamber of Commerce members. Whereas ours is a class action to cover everybody. And we think we've got a great case. I think the pleadings are fantastic. These brainiac lawyers writing this stuff, they're just absolutely amazing. We've got great harm to show. I think we're in great shape there. So we'll likely get a decision from both these courts before March 1st, and hopefully it will shut it down. But obviously, your employer is wondering whether they should sponsor you in the lottery. Remember, you don't have to pay the $100,000 fee to get in the lottery. You only have to pay it if it exists after April 1st. So we'll have an answer by then. So please tell your employers, file in the lottery. If the fee comes along, they don't want to pay the fee, fine. Okay, they're out of luck. But at least get in the lottery. That's really, really important. We don't know the details in the lottery yet. We do know it's going to cost money. We do know that they have a special rule that the more money you make, the more entries you get. That's likely illegal, by the way. But nobody is sued on that yet because we're all at our wits' end, right? We're literally standing on a cliff ready to jump off. And this is intentional, right? They are intentionally doing this. Now, the flip side of that is the government lawyers are also literally on knife's edge. We filed a mandamus recently in Georgia, and the government filed a motion to dismiss that literally did not even contain a case site. It was just nothing. It's like this must have been done in 30 minutes. They literally must have done this in 30 minutes. It's completely insane. I mean, I feel bad for these. These are good lawyers that are, I mean, I would quit. If it was me, I would say, look, I'm out of here. But a lot of people, they've got their 17, 18 years in. They want to get to the line to get the pension. I get that. But man, I would quit. I mean, I couldn't work for these people. It'd be completely and absolutely amazing. The update on the F1 revocation lawsuit is, hopefully everybody knows, the government answer is not due till January 30th because of the shutdown. And the government wanted until the end of February. We didn't want them to give any time. I said, look, they were working. Come on, really? Come on. But the judge gave them till January 30th. And so we'll then see their answer or a motion to dismiss, and we'll go from there. What we really need is discovery to find out what's going on. That's why we haven't filed a preliminary injunction, because we need to get the government stuff. And you don't get that you don't get that through a preliminary injunction. That's really kind of important. All right, let's see. What other crazy stuff has Trump done? Oh, so the shutdown with the 75 countries, by the way, is related to supposedly public charge. So a colleague of mine said, well, it doesn't apply to business people. Yeah, it does, because they have family. I mean, is the family good? I mean, if they have 6 kids, they might get denied because the guy doesn't think the guy makes enough money, even though everything is fine. So keep in mind what the Trump administration is doing is trying to reduce the level of legal immigration. Now, they've already successfully reduced the population of the United States in 2025. Yes, you heard me right. They actually reduced the population of the United States, of the whole country, in 2025 by deporting people, which wasn't as many as they say, by the way, just to be clear, but also by literally slowing down legal immigration. They just stopped issuing visas. They slow walk visas. Basically, hardly anybody from Africa is getting visas. Any country that doesn't look like Donald Trump or his ancestors, or Satan Miller, that's what he calls him, Satan Miller instead of Stephen Miller. It's kind of funny. They're just basically getting denied. They're just basically sitting on the cases, which is why the courts are being flooded with mandamus action. So if you have a case and you've been waiting a year, 2 years, 6 months in some cases, sue them. Just bring it to the court. So let's flood the courts. That's really the solution, is to flood the courts. That's what we have to do. That's what we got to do, is flood the courts. The other thing I want to talk about is this terrible stuff that's going on up in Minnesota. the tragic death of Renee Good, and really the other tragic things that are going on, arrests of U.S. citizens. And I get asked what, in fact, I was asked last night on CNN, CNN International. Let's see if I can find that. Maybe we'll play that for you because nobody watches CNN International. Maybe we could open this up here and we'll play this for you. Let's take a look. I'll share the screen here. And let's see. We're going to put that on. We're going to take that off full screen. And put it on pause, put it on the beginning. Let's share the screen here so you guys can see what I'm talking about what you should do, right? It's what you should do. So let's take a look at this shared screen. This is YouTube here. So let's take a look, and we're going to go ahead and play this for you. If I can find it here. Hopefully I can find it. I wonder where it went to. Obviously, I picked it up on the shared screen. Let's see. That's not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. Not there. There. Here it is. All right. Here we go.
Charles Cook is a founding partner at Cook Baxter Immigration Law, and he joins me now. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
So, watching these videos across Minneapolis, what ICE agents are doing, it's not just in Minneapolis, they're stopping people, demanding proof of citizenship. They say quite glibly they're doing citizenship checks. It appears they are basing these stops purely on how people look. Is that legal?
Well, no. The answer is no, it's not legal. We do have a really interesting rule, a judicially created rule in the United States that does allow the Border Patrol to, quote, check for papers within 100 miles of the border. But they can only do this if they have reasonable suspicion. What they're doing now seems to stem from a September 2025, let's say, footnote, really, from Justice Kavanaugh in a completely unrelated matter that basically said, you know what? If you're stopped and you're a citizen, it's really just a minor inconvenience and you'll be on your way. Well, as we see from the videos, that doesn't always happen. And frequently they aren't on their way. They're arrested and then released at a different place later on.
Yeah. I mean, they're threatened. I mean, you see some of them, and I was watching one earlier today, and say, well, if you don't show me, I'm going to take you in the car. We're going to do this ID check. You're referring to that footnote, which has developed this term, the Kavanaugh stop, which has become shorthand for, it sounds like a court justification for some sort of racial profiling, if that officers can take into account appearance, language, etc. I mean, do these stops meet that standard from a legal perspective?
These stops exceed that standard even. But this apparently got to Justice Kavanaugh. That they were calling these Kavanaugh stops. And in a footnote in another case last month, he wrote, well, wait a second, you can't stop people and ask them for their papers just based on their race or ethnicity or their accent. So now even Justice Kavanaugh has backstepped from the Kavanaugh stop. But that message has not gotten to the Border Patrol or to ICE, who keep relying on the September footnote from Justice Kavanaugh's decision.
So what is the legal recourse then? Because this is happening every day, many times a day. People being subjected sometimes to violence, right, by ICE agents based on their claim to have this right to demand proof of citizenship. What's the legal recourse here?
The legal recourse are civil rights actions against the Justice Department, against the DHS, as Border Patrol or ICE agents. It has to be of a sufficient volume that it gets the attention of the Justice Department. When they're flooded with thousands of such filings, these guys may back off. They may back off on what they've been doing. But they do this because they can get away with it. They do this because they're not held accountable by the administration for doing it. And they'll likely keep doing it, at least for the time that the Trump administration wants this effect on the communities that are being basically raided by the Border Patrol and ICE.
We were just showing video of how they take it a step even further. I mean, they've been going into houses, right, busting down doors, demanding proof as well. I mean, it's certainly, if you're telling me the law does not support this and that even Justice Kavanaugh has attempted to close the door to this, it strikes me that the law is not being followed here, right? I mean, that's a breakdown.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time that ICE or the Border Patrol are not following the law. And the Border Patrol has a long history of abusing people's rights, long before the Trump administration. And that's what brought Bovino to the attention of the Trump White House to lead these efforts. So this is nothing new. And a lot of times these are only constrained by an administration that wants to respect the law, rather than an administration that wants to scare people into some sort of compliance. But you mentioned the coming into houses. That is absolutely prohibited by the Fourth Amendment. But the only recourse is a civil rights action.
It's alarming. Charles Cook, thanks so much for walking us through it.
Well, there you go. Crazy stuff going on in the Trump administration on this amazing abdication of responsibility and this intentional desire, intentionally breaking the law, intentionally violating people's rights. It's to me, it's unconscionable. Elections have consequences. The people are shocked that the Trump administration is doing this. We warned you. We told you what Stephen Miller was going to do. We told you he was going to do this. We 100% said it was going to happen, but you didn't believe us. Believe us now? Let's take some questions here today. And por supuesto, tiene preguntas en español, los contesto. If you got questions in Spanish, I'll answer them too. But let's take a look at some of the questions we have here. We got lots of good comments here. We've got Marcelo, good to see you. And again, I apologize for being late today, but I'm looking forward to putting that greenhouse together. It'll be fun. Any first-time appearance? Yes, we just had one yesterday. A young woman emailed me and said it worked. I got my advanced parole. Yes. 8 months. I think you're going to break it 11 months. 11 to 12 months is what it looks like. Beatriz, me deportan estando de mando con ustedes. Podría regresar si tengo C14, bueno, pide gente. Ella, si tiene la C14 sobre el aviso U, sobre el aviso T, sobre qué. Necesitaría más información. She was deported even though she had a work permit, but I need to know what it's based on. It's a little unclear from the code. I have a question. The U.S. citizen parent petitioner passed away under proof. Can a sibling take over the process? Yes. You have to do something called humanitarian reinstatement. And that is done through the Immigration Service and can take up to 3 years. It can take a long time. Plus, the individual that's the beneficiary of the application must be in the United States. They can't be abroad. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So call us. We do that work. We've done it many times. It's slow. Let's see. Hi, Mr. Cook. Oh, Ami Pat, good to see you. Always look like you're playing soccer in there. That's what it looks like. HB, is there still a hearing plan? Still a hearing? Absolutely, and I remain confident. Abogado, soy de Brasil. Bom dia. Solo estoy esperando si para saber de qué manera que afectará a nosotros. Eso es una buena pregunta. Lo que están diciendo es que si vayas a la cita no te le van a dar. So she's asking, I'm from Brazil, which is on the list of 79. And he's saying, well, I'm going to go down for my interview. How does it affect me? They're going to deny you the visa. They're not going to deny it. They just won't do it. That's why ultimately we'd have to sue them because they can't not do that. They can't do that. That's not how any of this works. Eduardo, good to see you, my friend. What do you think about Trump's New York Times interview saying DACA? Trump says these things about a lot of things. Do you believe anything that Trump says? And if you do, you should go see a therapist because the man does not speak without lying. What is Trump going to do? He can't grant amnesty. Only Congress can. Maybe, is he going to ask Congress to pass the DREAM Act right before the election? Would you be fooled by that? Really? Yeah, I got nothing there. The dude lies like he breathes. And Stephen Miller would never let him do that, by the way. Be grateful the DACA's still around. Nancy Venegas, going to apply for naturalization. I just got back from Mexico trip on a 10th. He says, there's my passport. It doesn't matter, Nancy. You're fine. You're golden. Doesn't they should? What are they stamping your passport for? They don't stamp the passports of residents. They don't even, as far as I know, they don't stamp anybody's passport anymore. They just. You should go to cbp.gov, cbp.gov, and see if it's got anything in there about your trip. Probably doesn't, but I wouldn't worry about it. Not a big deal. Dante, I sent my DACA and they received it September 25th. Till this day, it's still pending. Why did you file in September 2025, Dante? They're not, they'll take your money. Oh, your renewal. You filed your renewal. Yeah. This is why do you think I tell people to file a year in advance? This is why. So in March, you can begin calling the 800 number and say, hey, I really need it for my work, or call your congressman or senator, but it's still got 3 months left, don't they? Yeah, it sucks. Welcome to hell. Significa esto que el NVC ya no programará citas consulares en esos países. Eso es lo que parece. He's asking, does it look like they will not set appointments in these countries? So let's see if I can find the list of countries. There's 76 countries. Yes, Colombia. That's basically what they're saying, is they will not set immigrant visa appointments in these countries. No van a fijarlo. Lo que dice. Llámame y lo demandamos. All right. We'll sue them. Call me. I love to sue them. Suing them is my favorite hobby in the whole wide world. I'm happy just help with DACA, but he's sitting there. What do you think? I think that he is intentionally not making a decision. He can make, this opinion's been written for years. The Fifth Circuit wrote his opinion for him. So delay. Advocates on the bench. The right complained about activist judges all the time. Exhibit A. Got my green card with 601A last year. Applied for and was denied global entry due to prior immigration violation. Can I sue? Generally, you cannot sue on global entry. I would just wait till you're a citizen. Do it again. But that global entry is completely discretionary. You can't sue on discretionary decisions. I don't think you can do it. I know it sucks. What about people that have a tourist visa? Can they still? Yeah, you can renew your visa outside the United States. You can renew it if you're not from one of these countries, apparently. That appears to be immigrant visas, by the way. Non-immigrant visas don't appear to be touched, as far as we can tell. But if you're talking about inside, if you're here under a visitor visa status, can you extend it? Yes. It's tough to tell from your question, New Jersey. Love the state, by the way. I'm DACA, living in Texas, giving you AOS. My question is, should I move out of Texas? You should apply for the work permit through AOS because it's cheaper. It's only $260. It's just DACA work permit. So apply for the adjustment, include your work permit. Jocelyn, do you think it's too risky to attend a sibling's military graduation as a DACA recipient? I do. Why give them an opportunity to screw you around? Why do it? Put it on video. You're there in spirit. I know it sucks, but this is the way we are today. Trump sucks. What do you think is going to happen with TPS Honduras, Nicaragua, and Nepal? What's just illegal the way they determined it? Do you think it will happen on that court date? Well, the judge, it's reinstated. They're back in status. So all Kristi Noem has to do is follow the law. She may be incapable of doing that. She's not as dumb as Trump, but she's pretty dumb. And you would think her lawyers would say, do X, Y. I can get it canceled quickly, but I'm not going to do it. I have to tell her the secret sauce. But yeah, I think you're fine for right now. Thoughts on the New York Times interview with Donnie saying his great plans? I think we already answered that question. Lily, correct me if I'm wrong, but you said those got docked with her after 18 to AP, they triggered the 10-year rate. No, let's talk about that. All right. And here's the issue. You can argue either way. Whatever you need to argue, you can argue. So we saw somebody recently came to see me that immigration said, oh, you traveled as a DACA recipient. That activated your bar. You need to file a waiver. But for that case, we're going, no, I didn't. There's a BIA case called matter of I want to say Apple Eye, but it's two Indian names, but It says, no, if you travel on advanced parole, you come back on what you had before. Nothing changes. It doesn't activate anything. That's what that case says. Period. End of story. Now, if you wanted to activate the bar, so you can file a 212 waiver in the United States instead of arguing that you don't need to do that for various reasons, then you could argue that. It just depends on what you want to do. We have excellent proof, 6 months proof 2, since we're doing constantly fired our lawyer. Open if we were going for a we got to do good. My doctor is 20. So I don't understand the question, Lily. Where are you? I don't understand where you are in the process. Yedith Torres, now that TPS has been released separate dollars, would like to understand how many individuals final order removal is married to a citizen. So first of all, has that TPS person traveled? Have they traveled? Okay, if they've traveled, then you file a 212 waiver with their adjustment of status. You don't need to reopen the case. Now, if it's an in absentia removal order, then you must reopen the case or argue that they were perhaps a minor and didn't go to their hearing because their parents didn't take them. But if they were adult with a non-absentia, you're probably out of luck on that. Even a 212 grant will not forgive that 5-year bar. So kind of a crazy situation. Hello, I called USCIS to check case status. I said it needs to be sent to print, but my US account with all my reasons do not show any news. I got to tell you, the USCIS check status thing is not entirely % foolproof. If you want to find out what's really going on, do an inquiry to your U.S. senator or U.S. representative, and they can find out exactly what's going on, and they'll within 2 weeks. Okay, good to see you, international period. Good to see you, Vanessa. By the way, international, I am going on a trip on Friday. I'm speaking at a conference in Havana, in old Havana, on immigration, to other immigration lawyers, not to Cubans. And we're going for a little cultural exchange to Cuba this weekend to celebrate my wife's birthday. I'm doing well, 29 Super C. Good to see you. Yesy, Guillermo, I'm a permanent resident. I didn't do CBP for you when I initially applied. It's now time for citizenship. Why? If you got adjusted, you don't have a CBP problem. I mean, you could do it if you want to. It's free. Just go online and do it. But honestly, it's kind of a waste of time. It will take 4 to 6 months. So if you want to delay your naturalization, you can do it, but I don't think it has anything to do with your case. I would not worry about it. Den Pat 100, can you share more detailed emergency program work for reasons? So she had to go to this training or she was going to lose her job. That was the letter she had from her employer. That was it. That's what I know. That's what she did. And it was in I think it was in, I want to say Southern California, LA maybe. I can't recall exactly. LA, I think. If she's on, she'll say something. To get a favorable decision on emergency, okay. It's it's a crapshoot. These emergency APs are crapshoots. Like it's going to Vegas and throwing the dice on the table because you don't know which officer you're going to get. Are they in a good mood? Are they in a bad mood? Are they a nice guy? Are they a bad guy? You don't know. So it's just crapshoot for the most part. This is the second one I've had approved in the last month. The other one was a grandma or mom was dying, literally on her deathbed. And they didn't want to give it, and she just broke down crying, and they gave it to her. Mr. Cook, I'm a permanent resident. In reply, how should I contact your office? Really, there's no need to contact our office until about a month before. There's nothing we're going to do beforehand. A month before, and you can just email me. We can do it by email. Not a problem. We can work with you, or you can call us up an appointment, whatever works for you. Orlando, hello, sir. Can you talk about the 75 country? I already did, Orlando, talk about the 75 country pause and how it's different. But just briefly, it appears to apply to immigrant visas, green cards at the consulate, about public charge. A little unclear if that's the case. A little unclear whether they're going to stop setting interviews. A little unclear if they're going to, what they're going to do. I mean, it's literally, we haven't seen the policy. Just Fox News and other outlets had it, but we haven't seen the actual written policy yet. 39 country ban is a flat out ban for most countries on coming to the United States. All right. Anything new for DACA in Texas? No. Have DACA and DAP between my husband is USC veteran, but I'm just scared of him. Oh, no. Kathy, just give us a call. Just give us a call. Have you done a FOIA yet? Do your FOIA to the court. Get your court file, not a USCIS FOIA. You got to do an ICE FOIA and an EOIR FOIA. And do both of those. Somebody's trying to call me. See, my phone rings right to me. See, you call me, I answer my phone. just call me. We'll work you through it. We've done many of these. I mean, obviously, it'd been better if you'd done it while Biden was president, but let's take a look at your case, see what options are. Bernie Gonzalez. Bernie, good to see you. After submitting VAWA expedite based on medical, not long after she got it. Well, how? I mean, is it expedite for humanitarian parole or the VAWA expedite? I mean, honestly, they've basically frozen VAWA cases because of all the fraud. Bernie, there was so much fraud. I mean, it just was. I mean, we didn't file any of it, but I know people filed it because they came and saw me and I saw the filings and they said, I didn't say that. That's not me. That this lawyer wrote, that's not me. So immigration, you know, when they see abuse, you know, they saw this massive, was almost 500% rise in the VAWA filings. You don't think they'd investigate that? That seems strange, doesn't it? Seems like people thinking there's a loophole when there's not. So you know, you can call your congressman whenever you want to. I'm not sure it's going to make much of a difference with VAWAs. They're suspect right now. Several roadblocks, small. What can you do if you're stopped in roadblocks? I mean, it depends. If you're a U.S. citizen, now again, if it's within 100 miles of the border, I saw the video that I just showed, they can ask your status. Okay, do you have to respond? No. So I'm not responding to that question. What reasonable suspicion do you have that I'm, you know, if it's a police roadblock, you got to stop, right? They're allowed to have roadblocks to check licenses. They're allowed to do that. And ICE may in fact be there, right? But if you're a U.S. citizen, you don't have to do anything. If you want to, say I'm a citizen, period. Now, if you're not a citizen, if you're a resident or an immigrant or on a visa, you're required to carry your documents with you. You are. You're required to produce them when asked. It's a federal crime not to do so. So if you're a resident or you have DACA, you say, here's my DACA card. I have DACA. And just be nice about it. I mean, it's, you know, these guys obviously looking to arrest as many people as possible. And you see the folks going after ICE, and kudos to them for following them around, for harassing them, as they should, right? But, you know, it's just you and your car and a stretch of highway and a cop. A lot more bears with sugar than honey or something like that. You know, catch a lot more bears with sugar than with bees or something like that. Just be nice. My family member has got a master hearing. He doesn't know what this is for. Well, he should have been served with documents to tell him what it's for. He needs a lawyer. He 100% needs a lawyer, Sarita. I don't know where you are. If you're in Georgia, call us, all right? If you're somewhere else, email me and I'll send you a couple of lawyers' names wherever you are. Any movement in the benefit bans from inside the United States? Yeah, I've talked about this already early on. Scroll back to the beginning. What status with your DV pause? So here, the DV pause. I've been in contact with one of the major internet dudes on the DV lottery, and he suggests we wait just a little bit. You know, back in 2020, we sued in November because Trump was ignoring the law that we just beat them on. And the judge basically dismissed the case in January, saying Biden's going to fix it, which of course he never did. So we had to sue again in August. I think what we're going to be doing is looking at this in February to see if we can bring an action against them for this. I mean, they're also not running the lottery nobody's been notified, to my knowledge, on the DV 2027 lottery. So there's a lot to do here, but we're probably going to look at that in February as impact. I mean, we can only do so much. We don't have an unlimited supply of lawyers in time. Rachel Zaglach, reason only immigrant. That's what it says. It's only immigrant visas, but I would not trust them on H-1Bs, depending on your country. All right. Just understand these guys are basically being told to stop work. That's what they're being told to do. Mr. Cook, any advice for a green card holder of Trump? Yes, show them your green card. Yes, officer, I'm a permanent resident. Here's my card. That's it. They'll run your face in the computer. It will show you're a resident and you'll go on your way. No need to be a jerk. All right. Leave that to citizens. Okay. ¿Cuánto tiempo para buscar el récord completo? Well, he's asking how long a FOIA takes. 3 a 6 meses, dependiendo en la agencia. 3 to 6 months, depending on the agency. Dar Rojas, buenas tardes. ¿Por qué DACA se está tardando mucho por la renovación? Porque no tienen mucha gente asignados para hacerlos. He says, why is DACA renewals taking so long? They probably have fewer people working on them. They probably have. Now, Thursday, tomorrow, I'm actually going to be on a call with a former supervisor at USCIS Service Center. We're going to ask her these questions. So hopefully next Wednesday, I can have some more information for you. Hello, Mr. Cook. Got my approval this year. My company's looking likely to be liquidated in April. Am I eligible for severance payments? You're eligible for severance payments, absolutely. But you can't work for another company until you get a new H-1B approved, Megan. So you got a new employer sponsor you, but you don't need to go through the lottery. But you do need to do that. And you'll have a 60-day window from the date of your last paycheck. Abogado, buenas tardes. ¿Cuántas están tardando el dar permisos de trabajo? ¿Para quién? How long are work permits taking? My question to Becca is for whom? What's the case? Asking for a friend, been waiting for 2 years to be approved. Can she do it? Yes, she can do a mandamus if it's been 2 years. Well, thank you, Hector. My wife thinks I'm the best lawyer. Is cancellation removal cases being granted in immigration court with this? Yes. Yes. We had one granted a couple weeks ago, right before Christmas. And I'm on a listserv, and somebody had one granted yesterday. Yeah, they're granting them. Well, that's this question here. I didn't put it up. All right. Yeah, absolutely granting them. Crisio Ramirez, any updates on the case? It was denied due to double entry and you were fine. Nope, still pending. We're actually in federal court in Georgia. It's still pending. It's going to be a slog. It's going to take several months. How long is AP taking for first timers? Well, Victor, you should be getting it shortly because we just got one in 11.5 months. I'm waiting on AP to get approved. Should I start prepping AOS forms? Well, I would file the I-130, by the way. Just get the I-130 in. I would get that in. How long has renewal for green card been? Like 6 months? They say they're taking 9.5 months for renewals of green cards. But you can only file 6 months in advance for that. Yeah. If you need a stamp to show eligibility, you can go to USCIS.gov's chat. It was Emma, the chat, Emma Lazarus, who wrote Tired, Poor, Huddled Masses poem. Yeah. And say, hey, I need an appointment because I need a stamp on my passport to travel. Okay. Hola, abogado. TPS Alliance had a recent victory. Yes, they did. They're going to win that on appeal. I don't think they're going to return that on appeal. Can I still apply through marriage with a U.S. citizen? Sure. If you've got a legal entry, 100%, Annalie. Grace, good to see you. Peruano, qué chévere. Mi hija ingresó como residente teniendo 10 años, acaba de cumplir 14 años en diciembre. Entiendo que tenemos un llenar para huellas de menor. Sí, si nosotros vamos a pedir la ciudadanía en octubre, deberíamos llenar en 90 o él para ella o solo esperar la ciudadanía. Debe hacerlo por ella y además ponerlo en la forma. Porque ella, al momento que ustedes son ciudadanos, uno de ustedes son ciudadanos, ella será ciudadana y de ahí puede poner la forma I-600 con inmigración. Floricelda Roblero, my boyfriend is going through the process because of his mother, who's a permanent resident. Should we get in the path to get married and begin the process? Well, does your boyfriend have a legal entry? Because he will get the green card faster through you than he will through his mother. His mother's a 3 to 4 year wait right now. With you, it's quote immediate, which means a year or two. Would suing Texas help? You can't sue a court. You can't sue a court. You can't mandamus a federal judge. Oh, we'd love to do that sometimes, Anna. My DACA about to expire next month, 5 months. Maybe reach out my Congress for help. Is there anything else I can do? My school's work-based, so I lose that too. I would, did you use a senator or a congressman? Because usually they help within 2 months. Again, everybody, this is why you file a year in advance for this very reason. I would call the 800 number, Donaldo. I would call the 800 and say, look, I'm about to lose my job in my school because this is an adjudicator. I want to talk to a tier 2 officer. You want to talk to a tier 2 officer, tier, T-I-E-R, tier 2 officer, and tell them the problem. Matter, Arabella, and Yarabella, thank you. I don't know why it was, I wanted to say something else, but I knew it was 2 words, Arabella and Yarabella. Could you please update Impact Year with new enrollment deadline? Yes, we will do that. That's interesting. Yeah, I know they keep detaining him, which is why we want to sue. I thought she did that. I thought it was updated. Let me take a look here. Yeah, it's up. Oh no, I will get her to do that right away. Get her to do that right away. I'm so sorry. I don't do that. So I'll have to get them to do that. Carlos, my parents are under 245I. I currently have DACA. They're trying to get my adjustment. You're talking about 245I, not 1045I. If they're protected, you should be protected. We have to find out why they're protected. Did a brother file for them? Did an employer file for them? But you would get the benefit of that too if you can show that the parent who was sponsored was in the United States on December 20th, 2000. You have to have documents from that date, around that date. What is your opinion? What will happen? Oh, I already answered that question. What do you think about the future of DACA? All the immigrants is hanging and hoping for better times. Look, obviously, under the first 2 years of Trump, they're not going to fix. They're not going to pass the DREAM Act. They're not going to pass the date. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, Democrats win the Senate and they win the House. And Trump's popularity continues to tank, which it will because he's not doing anything right. Then maybe you got a chance in 2027, but certainly not this year. I've been fighting for this stuff for a long time, 30 years, since 1996. And it's not that I've given up hope when I haven't. I just am more realistic than I once was. I'm a U.S. citizen. Can I petition for my father? He entered He entered Wisconsin? You mean Iwi? If he entered without a visa, you can sponsor him, but then he's got to leave the United States for 10 years. Unless he's got a mom or dad who's a resident or citizen. Is it safe to travel to the U.S. if you have DACA in the U.S.? Yeah, if you have DACA, you're fine. You are fine to travel. You are fine to travel. Can you retain my services? Absolutely, Tanya. Just give us a call. I'll put the number up here at the end. We got Ben Cotton. Anoid said using AP counts as legal entry, therefore the person has a permanent ban. That's not true. That's matter of Arabelli and Yarabelli. You need to get your lawyer to call me or make me your lawyer. That's legally wrong. Arabelli, and of course it's not an illegal entry. I'd love to see that. Can you email me that? Get my email here at the end. Email me that because that is completely legally wrong. For the HB lawsuit, the judge's opinion saying the court doesn't care. Well, the judge's decision is very bad. It's a terrible decision. By the way, on appeal, they have hired the Chamber of Commerce has hired the best arguer, the best court arguer in America. Used to be Solicitor General Paul Clement, fantastic. So, yeah. I know someone wants to apply for a green card, but doesn't have a legal entry, doesn't qualify for DACA. For 10 years, if once they serve the 10 years, they'll come back. I mean, I don't have any doubt they'll come back. Hold on, my wife just texted me because I'm going over here. Let's see what she said. Oh, cool. I'll get it. Nadia Camacho, has anyone had an administratively closed case, has been reopened, have any luck getting it terminated? Oh, I've done it many times. Our firm has done it many times. Can I still deport you if you don't sign? Or you don't? Of course they can. They don't need you to sign anything to deport you. But you still shouldn't sign anything. Puedo aplicar para salir del país si me agarraron varias veces en las fronteras cuando me trajeron a los 13 años. Sí. Sí se puede. Is the freeze limited to consular processing? Here's what it says. It says consular immigrant visas. Sahar, we don't have any more information than that because they haven't published the memo, at least publicly. And family members here on asylum, they have a court date in a few months. ¿Podrían ser detenidos? Sí, podrían ser detenidos. Do you know much about the judge declaring with the H-1 lawsuit in Cali? Oh, yeah, we got a good judge. We've got a very fair judge. I'm happy with our judge. I'm undocumented, married to a citizen, currently going through a divorce. He wants to join the military. They want all my information. It's safe. You're fine. Give them your information. The military's not going to call him ICE. Hello, counselor. I'll be leaving soon to compete in my 10-year bar. Any tips or advice? Track your time leaving. Keep documents showing you're in the country. Richard Muniz, would you say DACA recipients are equally in danger of being deported regardless of the criminal background? No, they don't have any. There's no danger of being deported if you have DACA. None. We just so you know, we're representing a DACA recipient who accidentally got deported, and we have a lawsuit pending. We're going to get him back. I firmly believe we'll get him back. It was an accident. They're stupid, but it was an accident. Good afternoon. If I have an order of removal in absentia and I get detained by ICE, can they deport me right away? Not if you have DACA. Not if you have DACA. They cannot deport you. You won't be detained. You call me. Just got in the chat. Has there been updates? Yes, earlier on. How long does it take for renewal on a green card? It takes 9 months, 9.5. Sarita, you need to give us a call. Would you say DACA are equally dangerous? No, they're not. You keep asking the same question, Richard. You only need to ask once. Just a follow-up question. I carried a card, cut my DACA card, approve a letter. Do you think that would be enough? I think that's enough. Although, my advice is carry the original. I know you don't want to lose it. Is there any delay for AOS in Queens location? You can look it up on the USCIS website. Hola, abogado. Una persona con DACA puede jugar la lotería de visas. Sí. Pero si sacaste DACA después de 18 medio, no va a poder usarlo. Por parte de Visa U, pero ya para tener la residencia. Debe llamar, Jorge, pronuncita. Abogado, ya envié mi renovación de DACA hace 3 meses, pero si vence mi DACA, pueden venir a buscarle a ICE. No, no lo van a hacer, pero debe llamar para ayuda. After 6.5 was granted a visa, now I'm worried about her being targeted by ICE for being Latin. She should carry her green card with her. I know, this sucks. Elections have consequences. Can there be an overlap in severance payments for a new job on a? Yes, absolutely. Thanks always. You're welcome, Super C. Any advantage to a single step? I like single steps. They're just easier, but no real advantage. Why should we file I-130 pending for pre-approval? Well, in case it doesn't get approved, you'll be in the line to get your green card faster at a consulate with the waiver. Can DACA recipients apply for EB3 visa if they got their DACA before 18.5? Yes, and they will have to consular process, as I noted. Can DACAs open a brokerage account? Absolutely, you can open a brokerage account. How long are taking DACA renovations? Anywhere from 3 weeks, I've seen, to 9 months, maybe a year. Would you say directly no? Richard, you keep asking this question. He never received documents. He was told by a lawyer he did his U visa, doesn't do master hearing, told him to find another lawyer experienced to do it. You need to give us a call, Sarita. Receipt date, June 20th for I-929. Went for how much longer? Well, honestly, if you don't have it shortly, you should file a lawsuit so you can get your get your bona fide determination. Did you just say file a DACA? Yes, I said file a DACA renewal a year in advance. Yes, I've said that for years. Ask Vanessa, she'll tell you. My sister is American citizen. My grandmother is permanent resident. Can my grandmother and my sister fix my mother? Yes, your sister can file for her, and your grandma can sponsor her 601A waiver, and she can consular process. All right, let's see. What's the last thing they do when they're almost getting their green card? The interview, generally speaking. Is it not recommended? You can fly domestically with DACA. There's no problem. I don't know who's spreading this rumor. You're fine doing that. Let's see. I got to wrap up here. Is it faster to process residence to a child in AP or with a parent through consular processing? Oh, it's much faster through AP and a child because a waiver is going to take you 2 years minimum after the I-130 is approved. If a USCIS spouse receives annulment or is marriage, an immigrant receives 2-year green card, which explain. Well, annulment is a bad thing because that suggests you were never married. You need to talk to a lawyer, really, because it depends on the state that you're in. All right, let's take one more question here. Okay, my mother-in-law submitted to AP back in January. She should get it shortly. TPS from El Salvador. I didn't know TPS were taking that long, but it's not surprising. She should contact her lawyer who filed it, or she should contact her senator for assistance. Let's go. So, abogado, ¿sabe usted si están renovando los DACA en Texas? Sí, todavía están haciendo mientras que está pendiente el caso. So, being married to a Mexican is eligible for green card or just a visa? I'm an American. Well, you can sponsor him, but it'll depend on the facts of the case. I mean, we need more information than that. All right, everybody, let's, if you want to call me, make an appointment, you call 404-816-8611. We've got 8 or 9 lawyers, forget how many we have now. And happy to talk English or Spanish. Great lawyers, great team, great people. You can visit our website for tons of information, immigration.net. You can email me. I answer all my emails. I really do. I know it sounds crazy, but I personally answer my emails. ccook@immigration.net. And if you want to get my political take on all the craziness that is going on, you can follow me on the Twitter machine. But until next week, I'm Charles Cook. I'm founding partner at Cook Baxter. We'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great week. Bye-bye.